Welcome back to the channel. In today's video, we're going to talk about the brand new PPSH that is unlocked at tier 15 within the battle pass. This is kind of like a rough draft of kind of how good the gun is, whether it's worth leveling, that type of stuff. We'll have a full detailed video on this once we get full access to private matches, which were removed because I guess people got access to the brand new map ahead of schedule. As you can see on the schedule, there's about 9.5 hours until the brand new Verdansk 1980s map, or whatever it's going to be called, will be available to the public. If you enjoy the video, learn something new, please do me a favor, hit the like button. If you're brand new and want to find your way back, double check, make sure you are subscribed with notifications on. So this process was actually very tedious. I played a few different matches with it after leveling it up. I'm also going to put out a video on how to level up your weapons fast right now, because there's a lot of you out there that want to use the PPSH, you want to level the PPSH, but you do not have Cold War and you do not want to buy Cold War, and Plunder is not available. So this is even a better option than Plunder, especially if you have a full team that is interested in leveling your weapons. But we'll go ahead and get to that. Go ahead and make sure you're subscribed for that follow-up video. So what I was able to do is just various testing. I did the rate of fire test, where I go ahead and start the test up here, fire the bullets, and we kind of figure out how much the rate of fire is. The rate of fire ends up matching exactly what's in Cold War. It has a rate of fire of around 900, which is actually relatively competitive, especially for the SMG category. So it does put out bullets pretty fast. Obviously, it being a Cold War weapon, it does have decent mobility from just based off feel, recoil pattern. We'll get into more specifics on recoil pattern, but the recoil is not all that strong on this weapon, especially as an SMG. A lot of the Cold War guns you are able to get away with not even having an underbarrel, but we went ahead and tested the rate of fire. We did all that, and then I was also able to get a couple different damage values. This was the tedious part. Literally, I had to jump into a regular match with randoms. Shout out to these guys. They're absolute legends. I told them I'd probably put them in the video because they were super chill. They're like, is that the real JGOD? Yeah, it was me. So we were doing some testing, and they were really chill about, you know, me just jumping in, not killing people, trying to do some damage. And then you can see right here, I checked the damage value. So it did 24 after its first damage drop off. I proceeded to do this multiple other times to get various different damages. You can see it was still 48, and then I checked various damage up close. So I did this basic rough testing. We'll get a little bit more fine tuning, especially that now that they've added neck damage. Apparently there's been neck damage this whole time, and even you know, all the people who do test regularly, they never ran into this. Obviously there's certain scenarios where I've tested stuff where I felt like, okay, why was that number off? I know the value. Why is it off by like 1 or 2? That kind of explains that scenario, but I never thought there'd be specific hitbox just for the necks. And I think that a lot of people are talking about the Car 98. That's sometimes where you feel like you get a neck hit marker. Maybe that's enough to break armor, but not enough to down them because it's not a headshot. So obviously we'll get into those types of things as things develop. But I went and tested the various things like that, and then we had a full-on match. I even tested hit markers. I tried to count hit markers to see if that aligned with the damage values, so that my testing, because basically this is a very uncontrolled thing. So like I said, we're going to have way more detailed testing, but I want to give you kind of a rough estimate on TTK and those types of things. All right, so what I was able to do is find out the rate of fire, which was right around 908. Like I said, in Cold War it comes up as 909, so that aligns pretty perfectly. Obviously this one's like 1 frame off, so it was saying is a little bit slower, but overall 909, 908, within one there, not a big deal. So I was able to get some of these damage values, and then whatever I didn't have from combining these, I was able to essentially fill in the gap based off the damage multipliers, based off limb, stomach, chest, and head. So these could be slightly off, but enough of these will end up, but these are close enough where you can end up with these specific TTKs if you're very accurate within the first region. I think the first damage drop off was right around 10 or 12 meters. As we saw in that first gunfight that I showed, it ended up being a damage profile where it dropped off at 24, and I hit the guy kind of in the leg. So like I said, when you add it up that way, at those ranges is 11 shots to kill, which is a TTK of 660, pretty slow. You get the chest shot, 528. Still very competitive. Headshots, this thing will melt and delete. Same thing about close. We end up with 5 shots to kill. Could be 6 if the headshots are there, but relatively close to 8 to 9 shots to kill up close in the closest region. And you end up with the TTK of 462, 462, 528. Like I said, this is relatively close to what it's going to be. Because with the most part, we're looking to get shots to kill. If I modify this number to, like, let's say 30, it would change the TTK to still 528, which puts it right in line with the Mac 10 and the Modern Warfare MP5, which is still pretty good. So like I said, it'll give or take a shot. And we'll kind of have to play it out once the full lobbies. But is this weapon worth using? I think it is 100% worth using. It is fun. It does have a nice big 71 round mag, especially for quads. You can down, thirst. It has a 55 round mag, which is a little bit more mobile, better ADS speed. And the reload speed is actually pretty decent. Strafe speed, when you put on the right stock, it's pretty good. But you're going to aim down sight. Not going to really have an issue with the recoil, especially with the 900 RPM. Those are very popular guns when it comes to the meta, just because a lot of people tend to like the 850 to 950 range for most popular weapons. There's only a handful of weapons that have been outside of that meta where they're slower than that. They do a crazy amount of damage, or their fire rate so fast that you have to use it to abuse it, right? So that's kind of how that part works. Let's go ahead and get into some attachments. So right here, pretty straightforward. We're going to have the build. It does look broken inside of Warzone for whatever reason. You can see these do not look like those guns. I was able to level this up in 2 matches and then the other one like 4 matches. So it goes relatively quick. And like I said, I will have a follow-up video about that. If you're interested, make sure you're subscribed to the channel. So pretty much straightforward. I'll go with the Gru suppressor. We're going to use the information that we have from a lot of the other Cold War weapon attachments. And this is kind of how you want to build it out. For the Gru suppressor, typically you're going to stay off the mini map. That's the way to go. That's generally what most people want to have. Task Force barrel, you either go Task Force barrel or you traditionally will go no barrel, because a lot of these impact your overall mobility. I think this doesn't hurt the recoil all that much unless you're challenging people at ranges that you probably should not be challenging people at that 20+ meter range. Keyboard and mouse can tend to get away with it, but you kind of play it how it works for you. Then we have the 55 round drum mag. Obviously, that is going to be good because it's not going to hurt your ADS speed, gives you the extra ammo. If you want to go big, it will hurt your aim down sight. It did feel way slower, like in terms of comparison, but at the end of the day, it could be one of those things that, hey, you want your extra 15, 16 bullets, you're going to have to go with it. It's kind of just how it goes. Serpent wrap, and then I had the Raider stock, because the sprint to fire on this gun definitely feels a lot slower than it should be, and I think that can impact the gunfights, especially when I was kind of running around tack sprinting to fire. I was like, dang, this feels really broken. And I need some help. So whether it's going to be the CQB stock or the Raider stock for those individual values. Serpent wrap obviously going to help out with ADS speed, but if you need a little bit more love on the recoil side, you can always deal with the Spetsnaz, or get rid of the barrel and then equip that under barrel, so you have those options there. And that's kind of how you'd build it. A lot of the Cold War guns are kind of cookie cutter because of how they've balanced them. So this is kind of what we end up with. Gru suppressor, Task Force, 55 round drum, Serpent wrap, and Raider stock, which is behind my camera. You can't see that there, but it is there. Hopefully you guys did enjoy the video, learn something new. If you did, please do me a favor, hit the like button. If you're brand new, want to find your way back, double check, make sure you subscribe with notifications on. Appreciate all the support. Thank you for watching. As always, have a great day.